Mothman was applying a lot of pressure with that tri-stringer.
Yeah, I genuinely kind of was skeptic going into it. It's not a very good pick weapon a lot of times. It really takes a lot of good aim, but it does put down a lot of paint. And Mothman really just did a great job of helping provide the paint coverage. You know, when your frontliner, when your carry is really in there deep, they need to know that they're not going to get stuck in some rogue ink. So just love that teamwork coming out from the side of the Lantern Champions.
Exactly. Now onto our next map, Mahi Mahi. You said right before game 1 started that this is a lot less dependent on backlines, especially with how, well, straightforward this could be.
Yeah, I think you can still, you can still run Pencil. Like, let's be real, like Pencil's still going to get run here, and now it's going to have a lot more effect. So I would be curious to see if changes come through with that knowledge. Maybe we pull it all to a more midline in front. No, it's going to be the stringer still. I mean, they have no reason to change anything. And the half gallon is actually, that I like. I really do think there's a lot more pick potential coming out of that for Riv, and it just gives you a lot more just damage for your range value. I really like that pick.
What I'm really liking to see, board on Dap Nouveaux. I barely see Dapples, and I'm just hyped to see what board could pull off with the light, with the speed that Dapples can provide. They take down Sakant, but not without a trade. Zone's looking to be for Lantern Champs, but not sure so far.
It's still fairly open. They have the first cooler, so they should be able to clean this up a little bit, especially with chumps coming in now from Mothman. That'll put just a little bit more space and hopefully kind of clear up and just force some heads looking. It should go their way, and it should be a relatively easy take. There's not a cooler for the side of Shellfire. They are so far behind in that special charge that this is probably just going to be a quick 100 at this rate. Look at how deep rushes, my goodness.
Yeah, no, they're going full send here. First the vanilla Dapples, then Skep and Sakant with those dudes, and with that end zap, they're still in there like swimwear, taking down Riv. A lot of progress made for the Lantern Champs. They're already halfway through, so
Rush is just leading them on a wild goose chase now, just literally spinning, and wow, it gets 2, looking for there's gonna be a third, there's gonna be another one. They're pushing up. There's not a contest here. Lantern Champs are just going to win this out from just raw space. I love this. This is great play.
That being said, don't count out Shellfire yet. They are getting close.
Yeah.
Here comes the Reef Slider.
Yeah. That's what you wanted those Dapples for, right? Is because you had a Reef Slider. If you don't have a way to flip this smaller zone like that instantly, you kind of just give up a lot of your safety net in a lot of ways. So a good read for Shellfire, but it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, Young Bob still probably has to stay alive. They have the tri-strikes that can flip the zone here. Does not look like all 3 of them connected. Zone is still in control of Shellfire. It's still pretty tense here. Lantern Champs are at 3 with a very high penalty.
Yeah. That was a bit of late chumps. Gonna try to put some pressure on. They'll clean it up really quickly here. Lantern Champs just kind of need to reset. They are gonna have their cooler coming in here, so kind of waiting this out and giving themselves the advantage, I think, just works in their favor.
Yeah, exactly. They want to just make sure they have all the specials rung out here, especially that Reef Slider, especially that Tri-Strike, stuff that can flip the zone within a single push. Rush already has the crab. They can get some road paint onto Shellfire's zone. Here comes the Reef Slider. Both Reef Sliders, actually. Zone is once again in control of Shellfire. They're at 31 here. Young Bob going down, and that's a wipeout for Shellfire. Zone is once again in control of Shellfire here. Force going in, potentially? Not looking like that's the case, though. Probably wanting to stay safe here, especially considering the pressure and the quick work of a team that Lantern Champs can do.
Yeah, Lantern Champs will take an opening like this first pick and start to snowball it very, very quickly, even in a dry fight like this with no specials up. A counter pick coming in from Young Bob, though, will slow it up for now, and considering they dropped their cooler, they actually are likely going to push this out and contest for the last 3.
No, exactly here. They're zeroing in on the single digits margin now. Rush is here to flip the zone, though. Zone's back in control for Lantern Champs. Rush is making very good use of both the main weapon and the special weapon.
Yeah, so that's exactly why you bring this in. This is where those minute differences of map and weapon types just really do make the difference here. Minute 30, and again, Lantern Champions are pressed up very, very far. They have this front angle. They're gonna get past these all these specials coming in. They should be able to win this out with the later ones.
Oh, the Reef Slider just got canceled. Rush also goes down here. Yeah.
curse that one. That cancel was huge because that was really going to be important for putting more pressure onto Shellfire. So last minute, still a quick fight here. The dualies do have, the Nuvo have it in, so they will get the flip.
Exactly here, but 1 minute left on the clock here. It's pretty much anyone's game right now. They're really close. They just need to make it past their penalty margins or just hold the lead for long enough if you're the Lantern champs here.
They do have slightly more penalty than the clock, so if they wear out the timer, you suddenly have a winning point, and now you're winning because now you're setting up yourselves up for 1 and 2v1s. You have the chumps to back in. Shellfire are going to get one last shot at this. They're just going to have to push through this and clean up whoever's left. They are in a 4v3, so just building these specials to kind of hold out for the last fight will likely get them to maybe overtime.
They still have those zone flipping specials. They have the Reef Slider. They have... Oh, they don't have the Tri-Strikes. The bucket goes down. But the cooler is up, though, for board at least to skirmish all they want. And now they're out of the penalty here. This is do or die for Shellfire.
It's a 3-stack. Oh, that's going to catch at least. No, just put the zone back. They have to maintain control of this right now. And they do manage to get him stream from the high ground with the pencil. Manage to get the push, and they steal it in the last minute. Yeah, great comeback from Shellfire here on Mahi.
And now we go into game 3, so that was a very decisive final push. Shellfire holding their ground even when Lantern Champs sent the full squad.
I mean, they were all kind of blocked up together. It was kind of a great read for the Reef Slider there, just to kind of say, all right, I see multiple in there. Let me just send this in. It's going to cause them to scatter, and I can kind of get the bonus of flipping and making sure the zone pressure is there. It made it just so much easier for Shellfire to kind of really just, again, control a little bit of the zone and kind of set up those crossfires for them to find success. I mean, I love it. The fact that we are in first stage 1 of groups, it's round 1 of groups, and we are already seeing a 3 and going to Robo Ramen. That tells me that this pool is going to be incredibly close.
No, this will be close. Robo Ramen on zone specifically, there's a lot of flat space to run around, both on the higher and lower tiers of the stage. So do you have any other thoughts about this?
I mean, the verticality of this is going to be so important. Similar to Museum, I mean, there are so many sneaky ways you can get in and around. So, I mean, I do think I could see the return of that to Cafeteria, especially because of how it wants to kind of get in onto those angles. I do think that there's definitely a place. I don't think we're going to see Board bring back the half gallon, though I do think it has a lot of pressure here. I think a lot of this is going to come down to who is ending up winning these flank duels more, because the zone is pretty centered, but there's so many different ways to put pressure onto the backlines here that it's really going to come down to these flanking positions first.
That's true. You think of Board in terms of Shellfire, you think of Rush in terms of Lantern Champs, but what I would like to know is that Lantern Champs doesn't just like to bring Rush, they like to bring almost the entire front line. We saw both the Tetras and Skep on the end Zap pushing alongside Rush on the opening minutes of Mahi.
Yeah, and that's what really makes the difference between an okay team or a good team to a great team, is knowing when you can play the space, knowing when you have the advantage to push up and push past and really keep the pressure on. And then you just have an incredible carry player like Rush who's able to just make the team just constantly break ankles and get in there and just force errors so he can continue to get picks on that. A player like that is really something that makes the difference in these games. So I'm actually watching for Rush here to kind of get in and create that kind of havoc again.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't. Once again, I still wouldn't count on Shellfire though. I would.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, true. No more time to analyze though. It's game 3. This is who decides. This is what decides who moves forward. Will it be Lantern Champs? They're still running the same comp, or will it be Shellfire? There's that half gallon again.
Okay, they kept the half gallon. They did keep the other duels as well. I mean, as Lantern Champs don't really see a reason to change. It's all been pretty good, and I do think you do get a lot of pressure from the bowstring, the stringer. So I don't hate the pick at all.
Yep, Secant already getting the first pick of the game. That's 2 picks down for Shellfire. Lantern Champs have zone here. It's looking to be really pressure heavy on Shellfire now, as the rest of Lantern Champs is starting to push forward, but not entirely. Whoa, here comes that Reef Slider.
What a set.
No targets.
Unfortunate. That was a great set play, but just never really came up short. He's going to die to the whales. And they did spend... Oh, they spent their cooler for that counter push. Wow. That's so unfortunate for Lantern Champs. They would have wanted that for this retake.
Exactly. And the zones come in as well. Boards is deep into enemy territory. Getting Sakant first, getting Mothman next. And that's 3 down off of that push. Zone is deep in control for Shellfire. They can probably get lead back here.
They should take lead back, but I do want to see them, again, just maintain the space here and try to get a little bit of pressure onto this. Keep the space that they've got now that they've got control of the zone.
That being said, Rush means business. The crab is up, and now they're starting to push in. We're looking to see another bloodbath here. Not sure entirely.
Not quite. It's a 3v4 now going into it, and Shellfire are going to be able to take it back. They'll be able to push back in, which means Stream will have free range with that. Young Bob coming in and pushing that flank. I love this 2-man hit squad that's been moving around to help try to push this. You can really see the communication is going. They're going to pop the cooler early now, try to put some pressure onto the side of Lantern Champs.
Yeah, true. Young Bob taking out Sakant here. That's that 2-man hit squad that you were talking about, taking on Rush too, making sure they can suppress the targets that can move in and ruin their defense and ruin their composure, much like Rush, much like Sakant taking down priority targets.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to sit there and say I could beat the 1v1, but you're not winning the 2v1. So now with the 44 to 64 number here, 3 minutes left, Shellfire can play a little bit safer. They can just kind of let the, let it dip a little if they need to, and just focus on keeping themselves alive.
That's true here. It's still 3v3. Zone is back in control. Board's gonna potentially get rushed down, but Rush takes down Board, winning the dually off. Zone is in control of Shellfire here. Does not look like Lantern Champs are going to push in so far. Rush is just trying to maintain space, trying to stay alive. Potentially they have a crab.
The crab is going to have to do it. I mean, there's a cooler still on the side of Lantern Champs as well. But one goes down early, which means they're going to have to give up that cooler now to make any sort of hold here. That's
true. Hold they shall as Rush pops the crab as Shellfire takes zone. Board is ducking in and out of crab fire. Going down to Mothmans and stringer shots as those explosives are really, really deadly. And here comes Rush. Rush is moving in now. Joined by Sakant. The dualies are in the house. The entire team now, the entirety of Lantern Champs is in, forcing Shellfire to go back even further. Looking like Lantern Champs is going to take back the lead here.
They should get the lead, and as long as they can just acknowledge when they need to get out of the way, that's a huge, huge moment. They get that for free 99.
That is a very 99 here. Looking like Shellfire could flip this back with that well-placed Reef Slider here. They're also going to pop the cooler here, trying to ensure that push. That's a really cheeky sprinkler spot as well. The whale's coming out to push Lantern Champs back further. Ice Stream's going to potentially get some chip damage onto Mothman, potentially, and the rest of Lantern Champs if they're all going to corral in that locale, in that choke point there. Rift's not going to win that 2v1.
No, that's not the way you win that out, and now Lantern Champions should be able to push in and clean this up. Young Bob's going to play from this flank angle. Again, just looking at these flank angles to make sure it works. Tri-Strike is in, just to make sure they can get this point flip and get control. Shellfire take it back, and maybe my prediction was a little too ambitious, but I still do think Lantern Champions with this late push should be able to put pressure on.
That's true, yeah. If they can just apply immediate pressure to those important weapons, stuff like the bucket that can use those angles, stuff like the half gallon that can provide a lot of paint for the team. If they can take down priority targets immediately, quickly, especially with the speed and pressure that both teams provide.
Yeah, and there was no pressure there. The Lantern Champs just got that with the space they maintained, and they'll trade out there, but it's going to be Board finally getting the other flip, but that's too late. There's 30 seconds left. You still have 30 seconds more to go through this. Board the Board and the rest of Shellfire have so much work to do. Yeah,
exactly. No specials as well. You have to make sure that you hold this zone for the entirety of a couple past overtime here. Young Bob's almost got the tri-strikes ready, and they are on cooler buff. But you can't fold to pressure this easily, Young Bob. No matter what the angles you can take, you can't win like that, unfortunately. Can Board get that last second Reef Slider to flip the zone and turn it into overtime? Let's see.
No.
And with that, SOS 69 Lantern Champions move forward.
All right, I guess I was a little ambitious, but I will say this was a much closer game than maybe you could have predicted. Lantern Champs are coming out on a little bit of an odd comp in theory. They're coming out on, a couple of different off-meta picks that still kind of work with the same principles. But I will say that, for what it's worth,
yeah, for what it's worth.
For what it's worth, they looked very, very good on it, and Shellfire put up an incredible fight on that, but they just couldn't really kind of make it work. You could see it multiple times. They would just lose, you know, unless they were working around where half the resources were dedicated to putting, you know, making sure Rush was not able to get on those flanks. It was just unfortunately a little too much for the team to kind of handle.
Yeah, no, they cannot crumble to the pressure that not only the front line, but once again, Mothman on that stringer can provide a lot of deadly explosive power with that bow. Not to mention Skip constantly bringing the team back with that cooler and also assisting them on pushes, that bomb, and also just the main weapon of NZAP in general.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's such a different look when you're not stuck waiting for your pencil to maybe put down paint and kind of, you know, make its cooler work. You know, you can kind of look to the NZAP and say, all right, I need some help. It is a support weapon. So not only are you getting to say, all right, cover me in the front line, but also make sure you have this cooler for when we go to the next fight. So Lantern Champions will go on in a well-fought round one here.
That is true here. I wouldn't say so. Shellfire made really good plays on that counter pick. I specifically want to highlight Young Bob with that bucket, being able to make really good counter plays, able to shut down priority targets, especially running alongside the Dapples, that two-man hit squad that you were talking about, taking out targets when needed, shutting down specials. A lot of good plays from Shellfire too. Not enough though.
Yeah, this is definitely a group that is going to be a difficult place to get out of. Like, you know, we're only pulling the top one, I believe. So it is going to be very, very tough to get out of this. This might be one where, you know, the winner of this pool really just squeaks it out in the end.
That's true here. And all zones is definitely something, don't you think?
It's stressful. I mean, let's be real. It is the community's. It is pretty much everybody's here favorite. You know, it's everybody's favorite map mode. It is arguably the most fair. But I think regardless of that, there's still so many raw fundamentals. It's a great check in a lot of ways. You know, do you know your fundamentals? Are you taking the space when you win a fight, like Lantern Champs have been, or are you holding onto your resources correctly and looking for the next fight, making sure you engage at the right timing, like Shellfire has been?
And it looks like we have next match already. Lunar Eclipse versus Distortion.
Okay. I mean, it's a very, very quick... it's a very, you know, look, a 6-man squad is always something that I keep an eye out on, because that either tells me that we have some sort of, you know, depth of roster that we really need, or we have some sort of a one trick on the team. So for a team like Lunar Eclipse, I'm really looking to see how they use this full roster. Maybe you don't need it right away. Maybe you really see quickly who's just having an off day. But I do think that there is a bit of an advantage for having a deeper roster like this.
That's true, yeah. That's 2 further levels of unpredictability from Lunar Eclipse. A 5-man squad up against Distortion's 4. Our first map is Crab Leg. Not Crab Leg Capital.
Well, depending who you ask, they might agree with you on that sentence. So, but it is one of those. It is, you know, this is once again a long map. This is one of those maps that, you know, isn't necessarily as wide as maybe we've seen from like Museum, but it does give a lot of length to this. So things like pencil, or even if you want to go deeper for, again, like a heavy edit, or, you know, for any of the other snipers, you can still get a lot of pressure. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw the S+Z sniper come out as well, just simply because we want to make sure we have the range and also those tri-strikes.
No, true. Zekofin can provide a lot of variety and a lot of strikes that can just flip zones, as we saw from last match here. We've also got Mako and Umami on standby.
Those are the other ones that are, you know, Mako is another one of those classic ones that we've all seen from 2. So that one is going to be a little bit less, you know, unpredictability. Everybody's kind of scrimmed it. Everybody kind of knows it. We've seen it. We all have it etched in our memories here. Umami is one of those other ones that, again, when you look at it, you know, there is quite a bit of range. It's a fairly wide map and plenty of good flank angles. So should we get to Umami, I think it'll be a great real look at this. Worth noting, Lunar Eclipse did come in from a win, also coming in off a win, a 2-1. I'm so used to different games. 2-1 win, whereas Distortion is coming off a loss. So Lunar Eclipse kind of coming in here a little bit ahead in the race.
That's true. Can they ride this momentum and keep a win streak going, or will it be broken by the rest of Distortion, who come with a retribution?
All right, we're seeing another NZAP on the side of Distortion, which tells me that's what they're using for their cooler. But I do think the interesting one for me is the Nautilus on the side of Lunar Eclipse. That is not one that you really get to see, and it really kind of lets your backline, you know, suddenly just put pressure up without a lot of that. So I say that the Nautilus goes immediately down. I was very curious to see how that comes out, but it looks like it's not going to come out at all.
A really interesting play here. Distortion does have zone. Fox is potentially going to take this angle. Immediately contested by Arc with that Rapid Pro. Goes down to the range though. Lunar Eclipse has zone, and they're gonna flush out the rest of Distortion here. They're immediately gonna take a forward position with that Soda buff. Burns can be exposed. Are they gonna get targeted by the whales? No. Droid has that Kraken that can provide extra longevity to a push as they get lead.
I mean, this is where I kind of thought we would be going with this. Oh my gosh, the triple strike is up. It does catch. It does not get. It trades one out, but that's 2 down for the side of Lunar Eclipse. That's kind of what I thought we were gonna do with the Nautilus here. Is we were gonna try to move our backline up to these high grounds for positioning, but 2 down means that Distortion probably should be able to push back here. Oh wow.
Yeah, true, but not entirely. Vessel Zuka needs to take target down, taking down 2. V-Born's next. Arc is next here, and it looks like the rest of Distortion is back in the spawn room as Soda comes out for Lunar Eclipse. The buffs are still active. E goes down. Looking like Yosan could be next. Yosan goes next. Lunar Eclipse looking to take this within a single push.
I mean, we were throwing bodies at the point there, and it didn't quite get close. So, I mean, that was a very, very strong showing from Lunar Eclipse. You know, despite the maybe odd weapon choices, I really do like how they tried to position themselves. They tried to get themselves in that right corner to really put the pressure and to deny an entryway and a flank for those backliners. I think that was a great read, and they covered down for each other very, very well. So, Lunar Eclipse coming off very, very strong off this win is kind of no shock to me.
That's understandable. They are still riding that high off a win. You did comment on how the Nautilus's pressure with the constant firing it can provide with that splashdown. It allowed the pencil to move towards the mid grates. That's a really, really advantageous position for a pencil to be in. That's further vantage point into their spawn.
Yeah, I mean, it also takes the pressure off the pencil too in a lot of ways. When you're worried about the Nautilus, you know, are they putting pressure on me? Am I suddenly, you know, going to get run on, and am I going to have these fists coming down on me? Like, you suddenly aren't really paying attention to the pencil, which just allows the pencil to freely farm whatever they need to, make sure they're building, and it's a great little distraction moment for the side of Lunar Eclipse. Going on to Mako Mart though, I don't think you'll get that. I don't think you'll get that lucky. You really need to make sure you have those forward positions, and while Lunar Eclipse has showed they can do that, it is a little bit harder to get those forward positions to let something like a pencil, you know, really profit off of it.
Once again, especially not with Nautilus too. You have to take into account charge times with Nautilus as well. Even if it can hold that charge, Nautilus is the one that holds its charge, right?
Yeah, it's the one that holds when you go through Ink, yes.
Okay. I know
most people don't play it, but that is correct. That is the bonus for it.
Because I always get, what was it, Nautilus and the ballpoints mechanics mixed up. They were introduced at the same time, so then it was hard to even track sometimes.
No, it is. We do have a sub coming in for Lunar Eclipse. We'll see who that is shortly. But this is exactly what I was kind of looking for, right? Is I wanted to see, like, okay, did someone just have... Did someone have like a bad game? Or are we just looking and saying, all right, we needed our long distance player and go from that? But I do really think, like, I'm curious to see, you know, maybe it's just, you know, 'cause you come off a loss like Distortion is, it's going to be one of those, like, all right, maybe we need to see who else on our bench is having a better day. So I do think this is the right play. You lose nothing in these group sections by trying different things out.
Yeah, true, and maybe even Distortion could have a rougher time because they're getting used to another comp, another player, completely new play styles to deal with here on Mako Mart as well.
It is going to be a lot to take in, but I think if you're Lunar Eclipse, you're not too worried. I am curious to see, because I don't know if the Nautilus is going to stay. That feels kind of a that feels kind of like a select map pick in a lot of ways. I feel like you can get away with that here, but I do think that you'd rather have something a little more stable in the mid-range. I'd even take like a half gallon here. I'd take a 52. I think a 52 allows you so much more space control without having to worry about, is your charge up? It also gives you a little bit more support from that pick damage. You know, if you hit one and your frontline, you know, carry position hits the others and just kind of gets the rest of the damage and cleans it up, that is a huge pick in your favor. And
now we truly see who is switched out. Or was it?
I believe it was. I don't recall. Arc was still playing that. They also flipped into an NZAP. Born is coming in to play NZAP here. Is what it looks like.
I see.
So they are going to match that. Whereas on the other side, Lunar Eclipse did flip back to the pencil. So they're going to try to trust that they can get this pencil into range to really affect the zone and control it that way.
Burn is still applying pressure with that Nautilus. If he goes down here. It's a 3v3, and Distortion already has Cooler before Lunar Eclipse pops their own. He's taking down Fern now, takes down Vessel. Lots of pressure with those V-dualies, and Crab is ready. They're coming from the back now, and Zone is in control of Distortion.
Ooh, they popped Cooler there, which means that they're going to have to... They didn't really get a full advantage of it. And this is, again, the difference of like a more frontline, midline focus comp, is you can keep this pressure up. Wow, what great Tri-Strikes catches two out there.
That's true, too. Ryosan goes down. The V-dualies on Distortion still has Crab as Lunar Eclipse 0 in now. They're going to pop the Cooler here. Vessel is really, really tricky. Waters goes down to Ryosan. The rest of Lunar Eclipse is on that pedestal there, and they take down Vivid. Does take down Vivid, not Fern, though. Fern's backing out.
No, there's no pressure there. Now you're in the low ground where Ryosan can just kind of find value by simply existing below you. Yeah, trades out Fern there even is huge. Like, that is a huge moment for them. Lunar Eclipse has to push back, but Vivid is just going to get chased out. They can't buy a single bit of space here.
That's true here. Arc is once again building that 52, that whale that could potentially be good for pushing people back. The zone is flipped, though. I think that Reef Slider did connect. Not entirely, though.
Ooh, great shot. I think they also had to commit the Zuka into it as well. Yosan, again, just with his bucket, putting in so much work. This is that verticality that you really can take advantage of with a bucket, and it's just working out in their favor. 3 minutes and only 30 left here. I don't see a world where Lunar Eclipse really break in with their comp just based on, with no specials in.
That's true, though, but don't count Lunar Eclipse out. Vivid's moving in. They have that special. Oh, Fern's dropping the splashdown in. Vivid has that Reef Slider. They're going to move in, taking down B-Born, and Distortion's jumping back. Dreadringer has a second shot. It's like a 2-round burst.
Yeah.
That could potentially be really useful for using those cheeky angles further.
Well, you have to get those angles here if you're going to come out against a very front-forward team like Distortion is playing here.
Exactly here. Watch out for that whale. You don't want to get caught, Vessel, especially with a Trizuka like that. Can you shut down the Crab? Do you watch out for Born on the Zoomies? Born is taken down here. It's through. A lot of people are going down here. Strikes. It's close. It's really close.
Ooh, E in the last second manages to flip that. So many Lunar Eclipse specials are going just to try to get pressure off of them and space onto them that it's just, unfortunately, they're not getting the full value literally like Yosan's going to give up that space too. And like that Cooler is just out there. There's no one taking advantage of it. That was 3 left on there. That has been a constant theme for Lunar Eclipse, not getting full value out of their specials.
Vivid's moving in here, gets shut down. Fern's popping splashdown. Not a lot of zones being taken out, but don't count out Lunar Eclipse. Vessel with a 2-piece before the wipeout. And the Soda's down here. It's still really close. Similar pity points as well. 30-28 as we enter 1 minute 30.
Last minute 30 means there's still a couple fights left, and considering how close this is, it's likely to be down to the overtime wire. But Lunar Eclipse now in the possession, they're going to finally get a little bit more of this pressure in. And I don't... Oh, wow, catches E out. I think with that, Distortion has to wait and give up more time. That Tri-Strike just missed the zones entirely, too.
That's true. Get those specials up, especially now that Lunar Eclipse is taking the lead. Vivid taking down Arc as well. Vivid has special. They have the opportunity to use what I assume to be Tri-Strike with Vanilla Dreadringer.
I don't know off the top of my head, but someone needs to get there and touch because there's not a chance. They get the flip in the last second, but Lunar Eclipse is going to close this out unless Yosan can really put the pressure and gets 2 for 1 there. Still has work to do. Finds another one. The wipeout is huge, and that's going to keep them in this game now for us.
Yeah, they have to stand on business here, keep the control, get out of penalty, and close out this game strong here. E has Crab. They just need to position themselves perfectly. Can they take out Firm? This is an assassination attempt, not entirely, though. They want to make use of that Crab. Don't get run over by the Reef Slider! Uh-oh, it's 30 seconds left. Vivid Vessel has popped the Zuka. 2 have gone down from Distortion as the rest of Lunar Eclipse goes in. The splashdown comes down, takes out Arc. That's a very late pick, though.
That's such a late pick, which means they're not going to be able to go into this 15th last fight with a full team. And Fern is just now on this aggressive angle, gets caught up by the angle shot, but can't quite close it out. It doesn't really matter. As long as they continue to hold this space from Distortion, it's over here. And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, that was a very, very pressure pick. That was a lot of pressure applied from Lunar Eclipse. A 2-0, their win streak continues.
I mean, again, it was a close 3-1, and considering Distortion unfortunately went down 0-2 in the first round, it's arguably on paper makes sense, but I think what we could take away from that is that Distortion has a lot going for them. They seem to have a great understanding of what they want to do and how to put these pieces together, how to control the space. And
exactly, no need to hit Umami here. I know you were looking to see what could potentially happen on Umami, especially with how those flanks can happen, but not enough time. Lunar Eclipse eclipsing Distortion in the blink of an eye. I know. That's true, yeah, get Eclipse. Next match is ready, but however, we will take a slight break, so please stay in your seats for next round here at Zoned or Sync. Hey, Swimmer Sync, also known as Zones or Sync, Frostix and Sove here. Where are your fingers? Well, if you're in chat, best be on the keyboards to support the next two teams, Big Fat Sea Cows and Compso Peak. I wouldn't think it. Sorry, I had to cut you off there, Sove.
No, you're good. I had to look at this because we were talking about some of the team names coming into this, and Compso Peak, I wouldn't think it. I'm just fascinated by this. Look, LP, Emma, Doko, Aang, you have so much to prove to me here. I want to see what this comp has so much to live up to now. A Big Fat Sea Cows on the other side, though. I see Neptune there, and that is a name I know also is also one of those, players to watch out for. So I think this is an interesting look. You have so much to watch out for and so much to set up for if you do have this peak comp here.
That's true here. Does the peak comp exist here? We're seeing Wiper, we're seeing Junior in the side of Sea Cows. We're seeing two Splatlings and a tent.
Double Splatling and a tent. Wow.
And an L3D for Compso Peak on Hagglefish Zones here. We have a match ahead of us right now, folks.
I love this. This is incredibly peak. I'm a personal Splatling enjoyer, so this is incredible to me. But I do think I like the Junior here, the Junior in addition, and just to give yourself a bubble to give a little more pressure. I think it's really, really good. It does give peak comp here a little bit of an interesting outcome, though.
That's true here. The rest of Big Fat Sea Cows are zeroing in on the tent, but they jump out in the nick of time here. Emma with that Hydra taking down Big Toto first, popping the Booyah Bomb in the nick of time to avoid getting hit by that bomb. They're going to push the rest of Big Fat Sea Cows out as the rest of Compso Peak is on the scene here. Doko being shielded by that bubble. The zone is once again in control of Compso Peak here. This is absolute cinema in the making.
This is just wild. Oh, what a Stamper coming in to try to get any sort of value. Does trade out the backlines, so that is something, but Doko has to try to keep this up. Yeah, this is a very peak comp. This is also something you don't see. So in a lot of ways, there is a bit of advantage. Yeah, you're finding picks from stuff that maybe you aren't used to scrimming here.
Yeah, you don't expect the burst fire coming from that L3D that can take down very squishy targets in seconds here. Taking down Big Toto. Eva's gonna drop another Booyah Bomb onto zone here. They need to get lead fast though, as Big Fat Sea Cows are almost halfway through their score.
Still 3 minutes on the clock, and that'll be the first dome down for the side of Compso Peak. They'll get pressure back, but the one thing they are missing on their side is this all-important cooler. So Peak Comp is gonna struggle against this when those quick respawns come back.
That being said, they took down two players of Big Fat Sea Cows within that push, and they're already pushed up now. LP goes down here, and Ang needs to get a lot of space back, or else they get splatted here. Emma also needs to back off from the incoming pressure, especially from that Stamper from the Wiper. The Stamp takes down the Hydra, as Silklux is moving in, taken down though. The Soda is up for Big Fat Sea Cows. They have the buffs and they have the respawns ready to stand on business with that 45. Can they take back the lead that was taken by Compso Peak here? They're trying to take the Splatlings on that tent with the bombs.
I mean, they do also have the advantage now that the cooler is kind of slowly roaring off. They do get 2 down from Compso Peak, so that it's basically as good as a free hold and a free carry over here with 2:30 left. I mean, it looks like they're going to even press a little bit more. I mean, Compso Peak has to give up a bubble just to even get past to the mid line. That is a huge bonus for Sea Cows here.
Exactly here. They can't fully rely on the tent shield, especially with Wiper's object damage with everything's object damage, really, that can take out a 10 shield within seconds here. Big Fat Sea Cows are at 6-4-3. Not entirely so, going down to the Hydra's Booyah Bomb. The Soda is once again up for Big Fat Sea Cows. They're hydrated. The zone is just an all-out ink bath here. Colors are clashing. Splatlings are splatting. The Zuka shots come in. They're getting shielded by the domes, but not fully enough here. And zone is taken by Big Fat Sea Cows in the final seconds to close out game 1.
It's unfortunate because in addition to being a Splatling enjoyer, I'm also a Brella enjoyer, so I really do want to see Compso Peak here, find some success, but I do think that it's just very, very hard when you come up against, when number one, you just don't have a cooler. Like, you are not running arguably the most important thing in any comp. And also, you are kind of playing without a carry. You're kind of like looking at your L3 to be your carry position, your kind of Slayer. And it's really kind of hard to ask that for them. That is a hard, mechanically difficult weapon to really do that on.
No, true. That burst fire can be deadly, but also can be a very big detriment if that's your only frontline Slayer.
Yeah, I do kind of hope they have a little bit more, especially for ship-shaped cargo, because I don't think you're going to get away with 2 Splatlings on this.
No, exactly here. You need to cover a lot of space, especially make use of just how flat ship shape can turn out being. Especially if it turns out to be a single chokehold match, if the team doesn't make use of those other routes to the zone.
I mean, I have to imagine they have a little bit more. This does feel like a little bit of a team that is a bit more one-tricky, but I do have to say that they do have something in their favor with this. Comso Peak did come off of round 2 and round 1 with a perfect 2-0, so this is their first real contest here in round 3 of groups. So I think if this is your first real contest versus Sea Cows, who are also who are 1-1, I think that's pretty good. I think that means you might make it out of this group into a pretty decent placement.
Exactly here. They just need to prove that they can still mix things up, still keep that peak comp in mind as we go into game 2 ship shape. Anyone's game still.
I'm curious to see what adaptations will come in. Nothing from this side. Nothing from that side. We
see Wiper.
No? Okay, Wiper is interesting, but it is going to be Crab in the back. It's going to be a slightly different Splatling duo in the back line. I mean, I do like the Wiper pair. It does give you a lot more control, and it'll let you clear a very small zone like this with a couple swings while also controlling the space. I do think adaptations need to be made, and again, if any team's going to do it, it's the 2-0 team right now.
That's true, exactly. LP's holding that stamp, waiting to make their move. It's a stamp off here. The chase is on. That's a trade on Selflux here. It's now up to the Splatlings versus the backline of Big Fat Sea Cows here. It's looking like an upward hill for Comso Peak as Big Fat Sea Cows continue to hold their ground. Could potentially take out the pencil here if they can dodge those Zuka shots here. Looking pretty tricky.
It's just a tough ask though, because you only have your Slayer, your Wiper here to try to put any work in, and versus coming up against not only Neptune, but you also have backup in the junior and the regular splatter shot. Like this is the Sea Cows comp is just going to put pressure on the frontline battle.
That's a thrown Ultra Stamp, not picking up any targets as Emma starts to walk forward with that Crab. They're going to potentially be shielded by the Dome. LP's moving in. They can potentially get through there. Take down Kulo, take down Selflux, can potentially take down Neptune. Neptune's jumping out. They have no penalty here. Comso Peak could potentially get into the halfway point.
Still a lot to go here, especially because specials are up for the Sea Cows. It'll be Neptune with this Bazooka, just trying to just suss out anybody there. They do see Emma on the high ground, and I mean, this is the timing you want. You want to throw in multiples. You overlap those and get the value.
Exactly. Selflux is now in control of that stamp. Looks like they have to contest Emma on the bridge with that Crab. Just the right time to pop it right now, taking out Neptune. Zone is still going to potentially get contested by Fat Sea Cows. Doko pops the bubble here. That's a lot of pressure removed off of Comso Peak. LP's gonna trade out the other Wiper here. Doko's in a really good spot to just burst down whoever's trying to make it onto the bridge, potentially hold in the zone. Big Fat Sea Cows have popped their bubble. Selflux is moving in as well as the rest of the Big Fat Sea Cows. They take zone. Lead is still in their possession.
No one's really pushing together though from the side of the Sea Cows, so they are winning these individual 1v1s and getting a little bit of space, but you can kind of see it if someone from Comso Peak just kind of happens to catch them out. The fight's over. Like Doko unfortunately just gets caught out there and is surrounded, but like, if Doko just gets into the position to capitalize on it, it's kind of over there. 38 will be the new point and down here.
Watch out for LP with that Ultra Stamp though. They're deadly with it, taking down both Neptune and Big Toto. That's 3 down for Big Fat Sea Cows. Comso Peak has all the position they need in order to retake this zone. Neptune is now under pressure by the rest of Comso Peak. They're zeroing in on Neptune. They're not going to win that 2v1 here. LP has the rest of Big Fat Sea Cows in their sights. They're going to get back zone, and they're going to have a sword duel with Selflux, and wins it too.
This is what I wanted to see though out of Comso Peak. I want to see them, just put this teamwork into more work here. You have double Splatlings. You should be able to put the pressure on it while your front line cleans up, and they're doing that finally. What feels like after forever.
That's true. LP, it's always still been there, supported by Aang's Rain, as well as the cover fire from the Splatling here. Zone is one thing in control for Big Fat Sea Cows. They're just cleaning up the mess over here as they're moving forward into the zone, reclaiming that bridge, reclaiming the zone.
realistically, this high ground is so important, and you never really see either team taking and getting control of full sides. Sea Cows do have the lead here with that last minute, but it's a long way to go. They have to win at least, you know, another one fight, and Comso Peak has to win at least another two to maybe even contest it.
True now, especially with the pressure that Big Fat Sea Cows can provide, especially on the front line with those two shooters. Neptune's popping the Zuka here. Silphlux is popping the hammer. Aang's in a really hot seat right now. Goes down to Neptune's Zuka. And it looks like with 1 minute left on the clock, looking like Big Fat Sea Cows going to continue to hold their ground at mid and the bridges here. LP's coming with that hammer. Whoa! What was that?
Well, we just decided to go for a swim, unfortunately, and that does likely mean that it is going to be going the way of Comso Peak. I say that, but there is a pick for them, so now in an even fight, you know, it's up to the back line here of Comso Peak to kind of sway this.
That's true. It's only Aang here. Aang goes down. Doko still has to hold their ground at the bridge. They can potentially get this zone back in the nick of time, but they have to hold the over... No, they just don't. Big Fat Sea Cows with a 2-0 win. Move forward.
Look, you can steal a lot of wins by just being a weird team that nobody's ever scrimmed against or no one's ever played before, or you just don't know how to deal with it. But, you know, it can only get you so far in a lot of ways, and Big Fat Sea Cows now moving 2-1 also means that Comso Peak is going to fall to 2-1. So it's going to come down to individual map and moments here. It's going to come down to all those tiebreakers to really see who ends up in the different divisions now. So very, very close for both of these squads.
Exactly, yeah. Depending on like if you can get into that Great White, if you can get streamed, who knows? No need to go to Barnacle and Dime before we close out this. So, do you still have any more thoughts as we potentially hit the break next?
I mean, I'm really vibing on this zones only. I know it gives a lot of stability and a lot of you know, safeness for a lot of players, but I do think we've seen a lot of great different adaptations from all of these teams as well. You know, it used to be just whoever pops or whoever manages to get the most value out of their cooler, but we're really seeing a lot of variety come out of these teams. I love just seeing that growth.
Yeah, it's true. We saw basically in both matches, Comso Peak just said, screw cooler. We don't need cooler. We just need two Splatlings and a dream, and it's a dream they had. Yeah. A lot of valiant effort coming from Comso Peak. I'd still consider that peak comp. Look, my hands are up. Call me Scorsese, absolute cinema.
Look, I'd love to see it. They'll go on to the Hammerhead. But what about you? Any last thoughts for us before we send that out?
That's true. Zones only truly is a different world sometimes. It feels a lot more fast paced. Front lines can be just much more rampant and wild. But we saw that hammer chase on Ship Shape.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Just
it truly is wild. So with that, we will be right back over here. Stay tuned here as we enter Top Cut. The time for Top Cut has finally come. We are here with Orca Ballestra versus What a Drag in Swimmer Sync 168. So this is now.
Now is this. This is the time. The time is here. It's the first cut after everybody has been properly sorted. And looking over at the top of this, I mean, this is two teams that both came out of their sections undefeated. Orca Ballestra actually didn't drop a map. They went straight 6 for 6. So they went 6 for 6. That's nuts. That's nuts going into this.
That's insane.
What a Dragon side, they're 6 for 7. So still a good showing. Dropped 1, but I mean, this is going to be a close match. I feel like someone is going to go home very, very sad today.
It's true here. Orca Ballestra does also have a 5-person roster, similar to what we saw with Big Fat Sea Cows last time here. Do you feel like if they could get that switch up that Big Fat Sea Cows did last time?
They might, at this point in the game, either you kind of know what's going to work or you may not even need it. And Lecce is not even here, so it's technically a 6 down to a 5. You're seeing 6 names. Don't think you're crazy. But I kind of feel like at this point, once you get the cut segment, you kind of know, like, everybody's warmed up, everybody's in their mood. And especially if you are, you haven't dropped a single map, like, you're not changing anything. Going into Barnacle and Dime, I can't imagine you have a single thing to, like, I can't imagine you have a single thing to change. You're just going into this and riding that high morale right now.
That's true, yeah. Do you feel like we're going to see a whole lot of the usual suspects here? Like we've seen a lot of Shot, a lot of Half Gallon, a lot of Hansel. Or will we see like a lot of mix-ups this time around?
I think we're at the point where the shenanigans are kind of done. The ballpoint isn't too shenanigan-y, honestly, but most of these are the usual suspects. Arguably, I think the long-range sniper there is kind of the odd one. You don't play a lot of Wavebreaker simply because it pushes pressure, but it's so easily taken care of. So I really do think it's interesting that they are trying to find full advantage of the end zap value.
Exactly. Strikes are immediately coming out from Orca Ballestra here. They're going to move in, taking down the Enzap first, taking down the Carbon next here. They're going to move as a unit here. That's a 2-person hit squad again. There's custom Zap with custom Squelchies, and assisted with that Slash-O-Matic, taking down to a wipeout here. 75, that's a really strong lead to start off with if you're Orca Ballestra.
They're going to open it up with the whale as well, so just to put some pressure on. But, I mean, Orca Ballestra just looks very confident. You see how wide they're spreading out over the map. They are just not denying, they're denying every angle of entry, and they're slowly closing in the walls.
Yeah, true. They're just funneling them all into the spaces they want them to be. Typhlo's gone down by Femi here. They're holding the top part. Drag goes down next here. They're already going into the single digits here. They're going past the 20. That's 3 down from What a Drag.
This is insane. Like, remember, What a Drag also won 3-0 and only dropped a single map, and they are just, I'm gonna say that, look, it's mean, I'm gonna say it, they're getting bullied. They have been bullied right now. That was 100-0.
Just in a single push. Actually, we only took 1 push for Orca Ballestra to take the first game. That was Blitzkrieg.
That was dominant. There's no better word for that. That was a dominant showing from them. They know exactly what they're doing. This looks like a team who knows exactly what they're doing. And I think the really interesting thing to all that they didn't rely on the cooler like a lot of teams really did. They just won by simply making sure they had their mechanics down and just controlling the space, making sure they funneled into where they wanted to take the fights. Just no notes. I'm supposed to like judge this. No notes.
No, there's no notes needed here. That was just clockwork. They basically got the rest of What a Dragon, the places that they needed to them that they needed them to be. I think I remember the first push that happened after the wipeout. I saw them redirect the rest of the team like they were sheep, using that inkjet right into a trap per se with the skull cheese with the splash-o-matic.
Yeah, I mean, there's just. Let's just go on. We're going to Mako Mart, and I mean, that was a performance from Orca Ballestra. Like, how do you follow that up? I mean, you have to follow it up by basically just doing it the same again. Like, I really wish we could have seen some of the previous matches to see, because if they all looked that dominant, you know, we might be staring at our winner right here, right now.
That could just be the case. I'm looking in chat here. Apparently, let's just say that Orca Ballestra within that match didn't even fall once.
I mean, yeah, that tells you a lot. If there was no splats on their side, like, that tells you they just quite literally played the perfect game. So Mako Mart has a lot to live up to here. So, and with that in mind, like, what a drag. I mean, that is a drag. I don't know what you really changed. I don't know that you really even got to see much. It kind of just feels like the mentals fell apart right away.
True, yeah. Make sure that you can just get as much control. Make sure that you can disrupt Orca Ballestra's tempo, because I think once they get rolling, they don't stop.
I do wonder, though, if Orca Ballestra is going to change much. Like, that ballpoint was very, very good, and they hit the shots. Like, that is the thing. That is the thing that really got them a lot of the way, is how much space the ballpoint can command. And even on Mako Mart, like, you have the space you can command. You don't even really have to commit deep from a ballpoint. So, I mean, there has to be someone from What a Drag who can just take and get one of these side angles out. You have to somehow, you know, break through this iron front line of Orca Ballestra.
True, yeah. Perhaps if the back line could just provide a little bit more support, not to mention the front line. I think that the Cafeteria is a pretty interesting play as well. We've seen it like once before.
Yeah, I don't sold on it, though, because I get it, you want it for bubble, but if you're not even getting into a position where you can drop the bubble safely, like, it's just over. A bucket coming in from Cat Bean, I think, is a little bit different. No changes from the other side of bucket. I'm sorry, that'll be the removing the bucket. We're moving to the Tri-Sloshers, so there's gonna be double cooler out there. Interesting. Very all in on cooler.
Orca Ballestra immediately takes first zone, but Typho gets first pick onto Lanke here. Cooler is up for What a Drag here. They just need to make sure they can punch past Orca Ballestra here. I don't think a lot of people got that soda by the looks of things here. Ultra's push forward, that bubble has been played here. That's something really useful, not to mention with the Cafeteria's movement that can disrupt a lot of composures here. The Tri-Strikes are coming in down. Ballestra has lost the lead. Normal here has the wave breaker that can provide a lot of pressure needed, especially with the Cafeteria, with how grounded it tends to be.
Ninjas to roll out of the way for now and get them into position, but, you know, the like revealing is so strong. In addition to this whale, you can see it's kind of forcing What a Drag to really kind of question their positioning right now.
Exactly. You don't all want to be on that pedestal, that ledge over there, that plat, lest you face a stray Zuka shot taking out two people. Well, they're all collapsing on Orca Ballestra, but they're not faltering. Bevy takes down Drag first, no second pick, but Typho goes down next.
I mean, we all know how devastating this ballpoint has been in the past, and this is where Zuka really came to rise, is because you're able just to pick it out of the air. But we need to see that kind of aim come out of What a Drag if they're gonna stop this.
No, true. Drag has to zero in. They have to. Drag doesn't have enough time to zero in, though. Lanke taking out Drag. They have the rest of What a Drag in their sights. Ultra's the next on the chopping block. Potentially gonna take out the Pencil next. There goes down Caravaggio. Drag is the last one left once again on Lanke's hit list, but disrupted by Ultra. Zone is in control of no one so far. Lead is in control of Orca Ballestra.
I mean, Lanke is just doing exactly what I wanted to see from What a Drag, and you know, they're just making it look easy. It seems like What a Drag just doesn't really have the awareness to see what's coming from those flanks, and because of that, they're now getting held at the front here, a little under 3 minutes. And I mean, these Tri-Strikes have to get a little bit of space, but there's just no picks from this pencil. There's no paint. They're just now getting this cooler, and that might be too far to take advantage of.
Exactly, especially if Drag's already popping that Zuka. All shots are in though. The soda buff has been received. They're gonna push forward in, but they're gonna be contested by that bucket by the rest of Orca Ballestra.
Oh,
Drag gets
Femi.
kicked out by Femi. The aim on the Inkjet is nasty.
Femi has just been a phenom in this backline. Once that Inkjet is up, it's just basically at least one free pick. There's no pressure onto him too. You can see he's kind of they're kind of dodging the little bit out. I say that now. There's finally some pressure on them.
Yeah, watch out for both Ultra and Drag. Oh, not enough pressure though. That's a 2-0 win for Orca Ballestra as they move on in Great White.
I mean, and still not a map dropped. I mean, that is still a incredible position to be in. It's a lot of pressure, but it's, you know, it's not impossible. We see them go a perfect series and just a perfect bracket even if they win this out. Like, they look like they're hot and they look like they understand everything as it needs to be. They have opened the matrix here. Like
you said earlier, we may just be looking at our champs in the making. Chad, you definitely need to check out Orca Ballestra as they move forward to fight the Cafeteria in round 2. Now, before we sign off, of course, here from IPL, we have some housekeeping to do. So, where can we find you?
I do a lot of the internet things. Occasionally, I'm on Twitch. I'm often on Twitter, though, doing random things. I don't play as much Splatoon as I do nowadays, but I'm in a lot of other esports and other spaces, so you'll find me around. What about you, Frost? I assume, aside from here, where else can they find you?
Of course, you can find me on Twitter, TK_Frost6. You can find me in Discord as just Frost6. And I'm also writing a web novel. Read Gap here on Wattpad. That being said, this has been us here, Frost6 and Silv at IPL. Up next on the casting list is going to be Rocket and Nox. We're commentating round 2 of Great White. So, from us here, peace out, take it easy, and don't swim and don't sink.
Welcome back to Swimmer Sync. This is the 168th edition, and we got a very, very special one for you. It is all zones only if you aren't familiar. My name is Rocket here, joined by the wonderful Nox. How are you doing today, Nox?
I'm doing good. Had a fun little night out before this. Got to check out a new dinner spot, which is always exciting.
Yeah, that sounds amazing here, but we are so glad to have you here, and I am so glad to have all you dear viewers here, because we are looking at our next matchup here in our top bracket between Point38 and Retro Records here. Now, in terms of these teams, actually, it's a little bit funny for me to at least see Retro Records here again, because literally yesterday, not even 24 hours ago, I was commentating this very team in Prison Break. So they are here and they are back yet again, continuing to grind the tournaments, and I love to see it. On the other side of Point38, a pickup team that has been pretty dominant so far. Actually, both of these teams have been pretty dominant so far in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, especially looking at Point38's players, I would expect that. Balloon used to be on a very notable team. Nilla actually played in 20XX. Erido's been around forever. Those are players that are well established in the scene, and I would expect to make it pretty far through an SOS.
Yeah, for sure. Now, just taking a look, and if my memory doesn't fail me, for at least Retro Records comp, I remember they have a pretty unique comp that they run. They are one of those teams that do run Dynamo Roller for that cooler, plus that dredge as well. Plus, I believe also Splat dualies, and I'm failing to remember what that last weapon is, but I'm sure I'll be reminded of it pretty soon. I'm pretty sure it's some kind of shooter of some kind, maybe a
Wow, they use a shooter? Wow.
Yeah, maybe a shot, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. We'll see it very soon, but I'm pretty sure on the other three weapons. Now, moving over actually to our stage, we are going straight into things actually. It is going to be Museum on Zones. Now, typically not a map we see at all in terms of zones, but since we have it here for our Zones edition, we are going to see it.
Yeah, definitely an interesting thing to note with the Point38 team. Erido has been a bow player for forever. So not a shock to see it coming out, but always fun. Not often we get to see Chumps. I think this is probably one of Chump's better maps. To say Chumps has good maps might be a stretch, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that bow is going to provide a very interesting factor, maybe to deal with that Dynamo a little bit. And we do, in fact, see Retro Records with that typical comp that they always like to ring. Yes, it is that shot. That is that fourth member here. But already, actually, Point38 have already had a strong command of the lead here, managing to find a couple, finding two there, continuing to put the pressure onto Retro Records. A great opening start for Point38.
Yeah, definitely a great start coming out from them. They do have a member go down, but they should be back relatively quickly. This crab is not going to accomplish all that much. It might stall the zone, but it's not going to allow a major opening, especially with two members down. Dynamo goes down. That's an unfortunate strike. And Retro Records has a big hill to climb to try and get back in. And now Arido's in a brutal position for them to try and break through.
A big hill indeed, but you need to focus on really getting those specials to really open up a spot for Retro Records to get back into things. However, with Point38 already near their spawn, with that cooler in the back, and with a Zuka shot looming, not quite being able to find his target, but at least buying some time. Now 15 ticks left. Retro Records really needed to hop onto the zone and fast. Rice has the Zuka available. One player is down for Point38, but they need to go now if they want to stay in it. But no, Point38 with a straight 100-0 knockout will open up this set 1-0.
Yeah, and once again, with the players we're seeing here, that's Retro Records is a team I am admittedly less familiar with, but Point38 has a lot of players that I have seen around, I'd argue, the bottom of high level for a while. They are very consistent players, they are strong players, and it's nice to get to see them show off what they can do. But I'm interested in seeing if Retro Records, especially on Crab Lake Capital, can disrupt them. I could see this being a good Dynamo map.
Yeah, for sure. Really showing the dominance there from Point38, these veteran players. Now, in terms of Retro Records, I know they are a resilient bunch. I've seen them play throughout a lot of tournaments. They've had some strong comebacks here. With this being still only the second round, though, we only have best of 3, so it is no more mistakes for Retro Records if they want to get back onto track, and that will start on Splat Zone's Crab Lake Capital. Any thoughts on this map mode here, Nox?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting one. I think since we currently have not seen a pencil come out in this set, it's a little more open than it usually would be. It's a map that I think Splatlings do very well on when there's not a pencil. Which is always nice. I like it's definitely a very anchor focused map. It's an important map to get those jumps back in on. If you don't have somebody holding it down to get you back in quickly, it can be painful.
Yeah, and I think the interesting interaction, I think I pointed it out and you pointed it out as well, is going to be that bow versus that dynamo roller, with that, I guess, being the longer range weapon. I mean, the dynamo roller obviously is very important, and the heart and spine to what Retro Records likes to do, not only in how their comp likes to play around it and how the weapon just creates so much space, but also because it is the cooler weapon. So it's definitely something they want to keep on track there. And we saw how .38 was able to disrupt that.
Yes. And I think bow is a particularly good weapon to do that with, because if the dynamo, it has enough range to keep the dynamo from setting up where they want to while still being able to play around walls and avoid fast range shooters like a shot, for example, or avoid shots from dredge more easily, which is a really nice ability to have. We are going to be seeing crabs coming out from both teams here, not something we see all that often, which is exciting. Of course, cooler strikes coming out from that slosher. But it should be an interesting set. This is also a particularly good zone to cap with Reef Slider, is a thing to keep in mind.
Reef Cheese, indeed. We're seeing the early crab pop here from .38. Well managed to find Scribs off of that, but actually both teams losing a player. But Keely, the cooler I mentioned, that we both talked about at the beginning, initially goes down, and eventually .38, since they do have that cooler, they might have the slight advantage now. Three players actually delayed wipeout there for .38, already off to a hot start and trying to end this set fast here.
.38 looking to move forward quickly here, looking to capitalize off of their specials. Probably going to use Tri-Strikes relatively soon to keep Retro Records from moving forward. They have some other specials close to being online. Tri-Strikes also good enough to just use on their own. Don't necessarily need a ton of follow-up there.
Yeah, and we see the Reef Slider here being used, not actually being thrown down up that zone there. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but now Retro Records will find at least a little bit of an opening, a little bit of an opportunity to get back into the scripts. Has the cooler available, will decide to use it here to allow the rest of Retro Records to really rally in. But you see the killer whale there finding the locations, actually finding that dynamo in scripts. The Reef Slider goes out, not to cap zone, but maybe to just get the heck out of dodge there. But already .38 are nearing the end of this game, only with 28 ticks left.
Yeah, definitely a really good use of Whale there. Definitely a good comp to use Whale against. I think it was a good switch over from Chumps to Whale because there's a lot of fairly immobile weapons, but now we're going to see Retro Records looking to force their way back in, using that crab, using that Reef Slider, and finally able to cap the zone, but they have a big hill to climb.
Big hill for sure, but we saw how Retro Records likes to play. That combination of that Reef Slider and Crab has proven deadly, and we see it here. A great shot there. Will take out the Splat dually, so no more Crab available for Retro Records here. Now, Retro Records do not have to deal with any penalty to get back into it, but now they will here with a quick take, helping with those Tri-Strikes, allowing .38 to get back into things. And now we are barely at the half-point mark, but now .38 is knocking at the door for a knockout.
Yeah, .38 definitely is feeling pretty comfortable here. They shouldn't be too comfortable. You can never get too comfortable in Splatoon. But the Crab to hold off Retro Records is a great start to this. They're really shutting down those trip strikes. The Slosher going to be able to mess with that Crab, able to take it out even. Might be a trade, but that's a good trade. If you're .38 right now, any trade is in your favor.
Yeah, and as time is ticking down, we are almost out of the penalty for .38. The cooler is Keely popped here. This could be the last fight if Retro Records can't flip it, but eventually they will hear a desperation pull. Three members go down for Retro Records. They will force the penalty at least onto .38, so they will live to fight another day. However, they cannot constantly rely on that because so far .38 has been really well at defending this zone. You see the Crab off screen being placed there. Zuka and Cooler trying to counteract, coming from Retro Records, trying to find a dislodge, but .38 is holding firm.
Yeah, .38 is doing an excellent job with their holds. Retro Records just hasn't been able to get a hold going. They've been able to get stalls, they've been able to get caps, but they haven't been able to get a consistent hold, and I don't know that this time will be different. They don't have much right now that's ready that's going to be good for holding. They do have a Zuka, they do have a Reef Slider. I would not claim that Reef Slider is the best for holding the zone, but the Zuka, if you get hit your shots with it, can be. That's for sure.
That's for sure, and it keeps the pressure as well. Retro Records yet again out of their penalties, so things can turn really dicey here real fast if you're .38. The Reef Slider and the Dredge will go down there, so now .38 are looking to try to retake it. The Crab plus the Tri-Strike, the amount of ink power that combination has will be enough to flip the zone into .38's favor. Jeez. And now point 38 will have control of the zone here. A little bit of a tongue twister there I had. But
absolutely.
besides that, yeah, Reef Slider available for Retro Records to try to get back into it, but it needs to happen soon.
It does. Right now, point 38's definitely feeling pretty comfortable, able to take out the Reef Slider before it can go off. Just 10 seconds left, essentially, as specials are coming out. But all point 38 needs to do is paint, and they knew that's what they needed. That is point 38 taking set one of this. Taking their set of this.
Yeah, so now they will punch their way into the next round, into semifinals to play against the number 2 seed Cat Emoji I see over there, coming in with a very stacked lineup of their own there. But we're actually going to be moving over to the other side of semifinals here. That matchup actually hasn't been decided yet because the teams are still playing against each other. You have Monsoon versus Polaria on one side, and the Cafeteria versus Orca Ballestra on the other side. So, and pick your poison here. Actually, Cafeteria, as I'm talking, the Cafeteria actually wins over Orca Ballestra and will move on to semifinals. But who they will face is still up for grabs, as Monsoon is down 0-1 against Polaria.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really fun to see teams go back and forth a lot here. You also never quite know exactly how long any given set will take in Splatoon. You never know what's going to happen in general. Teams can take a while to get in the lobby, DCs can happen. It's Splatoon.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, just the chaos of it and how things can switch in a matter of mere moments, and I've seen it time and time again. But for point 38, now their journey continues through this tournament to face the number 2 seed in Cat Emoji, so we'll see how that goes there. But actually, we're going to be taking a very short break before we give you the other side of our semifinals, so we'll be right back for Swimmer Sync.
Hello and welcome back to Swim or Sink. We're going into semifinals now. I am joined by Rocket. We are going to be seeing Monsoon versus the Cafeteria.
Yes, and we are looking now at best of 5 in the Splat Zone's only tournament here, and we're going to start off with quite a doozy of a map, if I don't say so myself. It is Mahi Mahi Resort. Now, obviously, the quirk of this map is the ability for the map to fully expand around, I believe, the 60-point mark,
yes.
And it really flips the entire game on its head and may change momentums here. Now, both these teams have been very, very big staples, at least in Splatoon 3. I've seen Cafeteria around a lot. I have a memory of them winning Prism Break number 3, so they are a force to be reckoned with. And speaking of forces to be reckoned with, Monsoon, I mean, a little bit of a segue that they are a number 1 seed for a reason. They've been there, done that, and this is going to be shaping up for a very, very, very intense game, if I don't say so myself. Don't you agree, Nox?
I do, and we definitely see a lot of very long-term legacy players on Monsoon. I will say, I know more of the legacy players than the new players, which is something I'm working on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, hey, we can mix match and like that.
Exactly.
Polar opposite. I'm more newer onto the scene, so I can tell this stuff. But yeah, we are in for a very, very intense one for sure. Just taking a look at, I believe, our other maps here, if they show up. Okay, never mind. Scratch that.
Sometimes we don't need to know the map. Sometimes we just got a vibe.
Yep. There you go. There it is. Splat Zone, Ship Shape
pretty
Cargo.
classics. God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
Any of these
glad.
surprise you?
No.
Fair enough.
I'm just so glad that we're not seeing only Mako and Inkblot. There were tournaments of only Mako and Inkblot, and I'm so glad to not have that. Always grateful to not go to the grocery store and then go to a school right after. Always great.
Yeah, actually something I'm also noticing as well is usually now I've always seen Hagglefish Market zones because that's in the zones map, and it's like, oh, this one again. Oh, this one again.
I do like haggle zones. I'm aware that's not a good take necessarily, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than obviously it on Rainmaker because, oh boy, the forbidden jump. The jump.
No, just make the jump. Just do it. Just
do
KO. Just KO. You'll win this time. This time, if you do the jump, you'll KO and win. This time for sure. This time it'll work. Just like on Manta, this time if you go right, it'll work. This time for sure.
Of course, of course.
But Zones gets rid of that gamble, which is good for the game or something. Less good for my personal entertainment, which should always be the priority.
Ooh. Speaking of entertainment, Bamboozler, hello. We're seeing
I do love Bamboo. Bamboo's definitely been seeing more play. Love seeing 2 sets of dualies coming out there from the Cafeteria. I think those are underrated weapons right now. Surely I'm not being influenced by Fuzzy on Blue Sky, though. Surely that couldn't be why I'm having that thought.
Ooh, but off to a great start. Cafeteria will find 3, trying to find the full knockout here. It will be the delayed wipeout here for Cafeteria, and now they will be able to retake the zone here. Another interesting thing, running that double dualies, having the dually squelchers along for the ride as well, having that wave breaker, the ability to really snuff out these potential lurks and snuff out these players, and we're already seeing it make work of the Monsoon players.
Soda coming in here, trying to rush down Shiny, not going to be able to, making the smart choice of backing off in time with how close they are to Crab. This should be a solid hold. They'll have Crab ready to help defend. Zuka comes out, takes out the Bamboo, finds the dually squelcher, just the Crab left up, not going to be enough to hold it. Miner looking to take out Soda, able to. That is a complete wipeout with specials on the board for Monsoon to hold this.
Yeah, and you see here, 2 specials are online for Monsoon for a potential locking out situation here. Keely, those tri-strikes are available on the side of Monsoon. Miner being that bucket player with the opportunity to really let loose here and allow Monsoon to retake the lead. And it looks like they will with that quick knockout.
Wow.
We see Storm and the Killer Whale just go straight in, and we're seeing Monsoon players now take up great positions already.
Yes, these are very seasoned players. They know what to do if they end up on the back foot early in a game. They know how to turn it around. They know how to reverse it. Players are probably going to be jumping back into Shiny, so I don't think this hold will last too long, but I could easily be wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
Shiny.
And just like that, Cafeteria are back into things here, very back and forth for sure. Almost out of their penalty points now. This Bamboozler has their killer whale available to at least put some disruption into the side of Monsoon here as they try to retake this. The crab being popped by Soda as well, just to try to delay them a little bit, pay down that firepower here. But already we're seeing Monsoon resist with their own specials. The tri-strikes, the bombs will force Cafeteria back.
That zone really is the size of a postage stamp. There is just not much paint needed to flip it. And we saw the tri-strikes take full advantage of that there. Storm looking to move forward, going to be able to put a lot of pressure down, not going to be able to do much more though. Killer Whale is at the ready on the side of the Cafeteria. They're going to be looking to move forward here. Double Killer Whale is interesting here, especially with that Wave Breaker. A really interesting comp, but Nico doesn't care. Nico has Zuka.
That Zuka will wipe off that member of the Cafeteria and trying to wipe off the rest of the Cafeteria. Monsoon here looking for the quick knockout here. 10 ticks left. Cafeteria need to jump on this and fast. You see the Bamboozler trying to paint on that right side. It will be just barely enough to at least contest it a little bit, and there comes the rest of the Cafeteria coming in to save the day. The quick tri-strikes coming in from Monsoon to try to save things, but with 3 players down, it is just left to Miner, really, that last Monsoon player in the backline of Cafeteria.
Yeah, it might have been a better situation to save tri-strikes and maybe try and keep them up, jump back, use them to help get your teammates back in faster, especially because right now the Cafeteria is almost through penalty, and as much as 41 seems like a solid lead, well, I guess it is if you get 3 down. Never mind. My point doesn't matter now. Yeah, just hit them good. That works too.
It is always Commentators curse, Nox. That's always how it is. We call something and the complete opposite happens, but it's all good here. But Monsoon now trying to go for the knockout yet again. They have a sizable penalty to knock through here, so Cafeteria still have a little bit of an opportunity to go in, especially since they have 3 specials available for them. You see the crab, you see the whale being popped here. The Zuka will fall, and the Wave Breaker now available for Cafeteria to try to contest this here. You see Milk taking this 1v1 with Storm. Storm actually being the one to come out on top for Monsoon here, and the wipeout that might put the final nail in the coffin here if the Cafeteria can't muster anything. 5 ticks left and only 2 points to their name left to capture, and just like that, Monsoon will strike first.
Monsoon sure did use their strikes well there too. Really good use of their strikes to ensure that zone flips, and just really good job of hit the other team and we win. I think the Cafeteria had a really interesting and unique comp. I don't think it did a great job of just breaking through the very classic standard of what if we have a lot of things that hit you really hard and then some good paint.
Yeah, for sure. But I always love to see teams experimenting with new stuff, even if it didn't really work there for sure. But I love their vision for it. Now, switching things over to game number 2, Ship-Shaped Cargo. Now, this is a very interesting map. Now, I normally have PTSD for seeing towers on this, especially between, I believe, the first and second checkpoint always being very notorious. But shifting over to zones itself, I like this mode for zones because it provides kind of a choose your own adventure in terms of how you want to play it. Now, do you want to play contesting up top in the higher elevations, just raining down there, especially could benefit bucket players such as Miner, or do you want to go into the bunker and into the how do I phrase this, just into the chaos that's in the actual zone itself?
Yes, into the battle zone itself, where you cannot escape unscathed. It is definitely a map where you can have some close quarters combat or play more safe, play further away. I can see both of these teams doing a combination of both. You can't usually get away with just one or the other. Typically, you need to set yourself up for both options.
Yeah, for sure. You need that balance here, and that, I believe, is going to be the true determining factor of who takes this one, as it is really that balance you need to find in Splatoon. Now, we saw in that first game, it's basically just how it is, just my turn, your turn, attack, back and forward, back and forward. Monsoon was the one that was able to just hold it more effectively, so you need to be better at, how you say, both sides of the ball, if you will.
Yes.
But now we're moving to game number 2 here. Let's see if Monsoon can continue this rolling, or if the Cafeteria can even things up.
Oh, I like seeing the Tri-Slosher come out here. Not the most standard pick, but I think it's great on this map. I think Inkjet is good on this map in general. I like that we're still seeing the dually Squelchers. I think it's an interesting pick. I like the crab. I like that they're not trying to push for super long range, but have options to force Shiny's pencil out of position. Cooler already out, but 2 down on the side of Monsoon. The Cafeteria looking to move forward quickly here, but they did get a strong first Cap last game too.
Yeah, for sure, but also another key thing to notice here, Cafeteria are not running a cooler, so their mistakes will hurt them a lot more if they are forced back and take massive losses here. We see the crab being popped here for the Cafeteria, managing to find Nico off of that. What a great pick there, trying to find more, trying to find Shiny, will find Shiny on that, and continuing to cause damage here. Karma with that crab. Now, Cafeteria already down to the 50 tick mark and already in great position, especially with the strikes online.
Yeah, Tri-Strikes can do a lot here. Definitely a great option. They should be in a pretty strong defensive position right now. There are going to be specials coming out from both sides here, though. Tri-Strikes coming out from both. Just needing to hold Paint on the zone, trying to hold Storm off. 2 buckets trying to, but Miner able to break through that defense. This should be a zone flip to Monsoon, and the Cafeteria will have a hard time getting back in quickly here.
Yeah, for sure. Monsoon now have a great opportunity to get themselves into a winning position. That jetpack will get denied there really, really quickly. Now, the rest of Cafeteria are forced back a little bit. The dualies will go down here. The crab with Karma will not be popped here, just waiting for the rest of the Cafeteria to regroup here because Monsoon are coming back with such a great force here now with 2 specials available. The Zuka being popped, you heard, actually getting quickly canceled out, but they still have Cooler and Tri-Strikes available for them. But of course, as soon as I say that, those Tri-Strikes get denied as well.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we see the Jet come out here. Jet coming out here to pressure Shiny, but Shiny managing to take them out anyway. Zone does flip. Shiny should be able to help get jumps back in if they can take out this player pushing them. Looks like they might be able to, but no, they have to jump out. Not something Shiny always likes to do. Nice to see them do it here, though.
Yeah, and with Cafeteria only left to Karma there, it is just Monsoon. It is all purple in the mid here with them having crab available for them, just waiting for an opportunity to really strike. And there it is in this position, but we're seeing an attempted flank here from Nico. Will force the crab to at least fall back a little bit to try to rethink their decisions, but Cafeteria will actually be the ones to hold onto the zone here. Monsoon fourth on the back foot. We are barely over half the match, and still a lot is still happening here as these scores are getting down near the wire for us, Nox.
They are. Zones is all about your retakes, and then if you can get a good hold off of it. But it matters most that you get the zone back. And right now we're seeing Cafeteria do a better job at that. And then once they're there, holding it just that little bit longer. And it seems like they're going to be able to keep that going as they've taken out multiple players of Monsoon. Monsoon being forced to back off. And that Toxic Mist pointing out Storm there, keeping them from moving forward.
Yeah, so that Cooler Keeley also get denied. It is down to the final wire for the Cafeteria if they want to win this, and Monsoon needs to contest it. They will at least contest it a little bit off of Shiny respawning and being able to paint the zone with that pencil, but it might not be enough as Cafeteria swoop back in and now even things up 1-1. What a great hold by Cafeteria there, now changing the pace of the set a little bit.
Definitely 1-1 feels better than 1-0 for sure for the Cafeteria. Monsoon maybe not expecting to lose a game at all. You never know. So it will be interesting to see if they want to make any adaptations. I'm not really expecting them to change their comp, but you never know with Robo-Roman. It's a map that we've definitely seen double trip strikes run on. Not as much lately, but it's definitely a map that we see teams make specific adaptations for.
Yeah, for sure, but Cafeteria know what they like to run. They have run these more unorthodox type of comps, and I'm all here for it. Now, a little bit of a side note, obviously we see teams sometimes in these tournaments really just with their emotes at the end really like to pick all the same emotes, but I will say I like the Cafeteria's ones a lot. Strings Attached is one of my favorite emotes to use there. I just love it so much there. So
I think we should all go back to using the dab, actually. I think that was peak. I think that was where I think that was the peak.
That is where it truly blew up for sure.
Yeah.
I won't deny that at all. But
look,
yeah.
The first time we saw the dab in a direct, I think it changed the course of human history.
I thought that was clickbait, and I'm sure some people did as well. I'm sure I'm not alone on that, because I was like, there's no way that Nintendo would be this base. But
Nintendo wouldn't put the dab in a video game.
Then they did, and the game's all better for it. But anyways, moving away from that, now this is basically a best of 3 if you think about it, because both teams have won a game. We only have 3 games left potentially to be played. Let's see what both these teams bring for us. If there are any changes, I don't believe there are any changes, at least for Monsoon here, coming out from Cafeteria. I think also remaining steady, but actually switching away from that Tri-Slosher.
Yeah, I would be pretty surprised to see Monsoon make any significant comp changes. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is what those players run. If anyone was gonna throw a wild card at us, it would probably be Shiny, but I would be surprised. We do see a member go down already for Monsoon, and Crab has been popped.
Crab has been popped, but the Tri-Strikes have also been popped here, trying to counteract, trying to move that Crab into an uncoverable position, but Cafeteria will hold firm. Soda will lose that fight there, and actually 3 players down for Cafeteria. It is just left to that Splash to fall back and regroup with the rest of their team. Now Miner in a great position here, almost has Tri-Strikes to make this even a more bad situation for Cafeteria here, just waiting for an opportunity to strike. You see the cooler, you saw the cooler being placed by Monsoon to keep up the pressure, and now I'm expecting to see Tri-Strikes be deployed from both teams here.
This is definitely a Tri-Strike map. It's a slightly bigger zone than Mahi Mahi, but not by enough for Tri-Strikes to not be something that can flip it on their own. We do see 2 players go down for Monsoon, but Monsoon's still going to be able to hold this pretty strong. Crab coming out, maybe an interesting time for that to be the case, but does manage to clean up Miner, getting that Slosher out of their face. Storm looking to find a pick, but Brendan able to clean up before they can.
Yeah, Cafeteria was a great comeback here. Now they need to extend this even further, but that Tri-Strike will get slightly shut down by Nico on that Zuka here. Both buckets down for either team, and actually 3 players down for Monsoon here, as Cafeteria don't even appear that they need a cooler to really be winning these fights. They are just taking the aggression straight to Monsoon. It is working really well for them. Now Crab available for Cafeteria to make this hold even stronger.
Crab and the Slosher going down. And now they've taken out Shiny. That puts Monsoon on the back foot. They are very reliant on having those coolers. Their comp needs them. On the other hand, they got a 3-down situation. What do I know? Nico looking to move forward here, has that Zuka at the ready. And right now we're seeing the fact that Monsoon is a team that knows how to move up very quickly. They don't tend to hesitate. And they've managed to hold onto this lead so far. Shiny having to back off now. But Storm is still there, still lurking. Maybe going to pull off a flank here to slow this down.
Yeah, we saw a strong hold initially from Monsoon that initially got them the lead, but after that, the Cafeteria have been able to take back these zones in a very, very short amount of time here. I mean, we're already talking about them nearing their end of their penalty point yet again. I believe it was like the 3rd time they're going to do so, but Monsoon are responding in kind, trying to match that type of energy, trying to match that type of flow that is coming out from Cafeteria. You see the Tri-Strikes going out yet again. It is just raining down tornadoes here on Robo Ramen. Now almost out of their penalty points. They will manage to finish out of it, but will there be enough ink for them to contest it? Soda really being the last player for Cafeteria, and no, they will be forced to go out, but actually they will lose their life to Miner.
They will, and that's an unfortunate time to be a Slosher and the only one up. Slosher is not a terrible painting weapon. On the other hand, a Slosher is not going to outpaint anything plus anything else. We see Trip Strikes ready for Miner here, popping them despite having the whale on themselves, able to take out Milk in the process. Nico looking forward, using the Zuka to apply a lot of pressure, able to take out Soda with it. Good shot. And we're seeing just a lot of continuous pressure here from Monsoon. They know they don't necessarily need to score more points. They'd like to. What matters more is just constantly flipping the zone back into their favor.
Yeah, Cafeteria is constantly trying to throw everything they have at Monsoon. A nice couple of kills there going their way, but they will be forced back inevitably here with a minute left. It is crunch time now for Cafeteria to get back into things. Still plenty of time if you're talking in terms of Splatoon terms here, but now Monsoon is nearing their end of their penalty, so now things can look dire. You see also the sprinkler placed up top as well to help with their inking, to try to help with this control, but just like that, that's all it takes, the Tri-Strikes.
Tri-Strikes are incredible at flipping that zone. We do see 2 members go down for Monsoon. This is a bad situation for them. They do not have enough penalty. Right now, the Cafeteria, it has pretty low penalty points. They need to be able to break it in quickly, and I don't know how they do that before lead flips. So they are going to likely lose a lead here. Seems like, yeah, they lose lead here. So they need to figure out how to create a stronghold, which is a different game than they've been playing for the rest of it. and they need to figure out how to get back in again now, thanks to this crab forcing them back out.
Crunch time, crunch time, crunch time. You see the specials going out. Cafeteria losing half their members here and potentially losing the zone. 3 members now down, and now Monsoon in a great position to try to retake this lead. All it takes is this one team fight. Probably 1 or 2 more team fights need to be won if Monsoon want to stay back into it. That's a great start. Soda will go down, and Keeley, those tri-strikes are available. You see now Cafeteria are beginning to worry. They need to get into it. Will there be enough ink? Will there be enough players to even get onto the zone? No, there won't be. A Monsoon holds firm, holds strong, and now punches right back to now potentially win the set, now up 2-1.
Yeah, especially once you have a lead in zones, it really does become a game of how do we make sure we either don't lose it or can easily retake it, because you can give up zone for a second. That can be a fully safe and fine thing to do. You can't give up zone for too long, and you definitely can't let them get a good hold. So it comes even more down to how do we make sure that we can retake it as fast as we need to, which is managing players.
Yeah. And we move on to actually a very interesting next map here. This is the first map I believe we've seen in the set so far that has 2 zones, Splat zones, Umami Ruins. That mid control is very, very important. But actually a quick break from the set real quick, taking a look at how our other semifinals matchup turned out. Cat Emoji just completed the sweep 3-0 against .38 and have already punched their way into finals. So now whoever the winner of this set is, they're going to face off a very fiery Cat Emoji, as they have just been sweeping this bracket set so far, these sets so far.
Yeah, Cat Emoji's definitely been around for, maybe not as a set team for a little bit, but those are players that have played together under that name at least a little bit, and some very notable names there. So not too shocking to see them there, but very exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure, but more on this map that we have before, Splat zones, Umami Ruins. What are your personal thoughts on it, Nox?
I like it. It's not my favorite dual zone map. I think there are too few. Here's one of my really hot takes that gets me in trouble when I say it too much. I think there should be more dual zone maps. I think they bring in a lot of really interesting strategy. I like that they slow it down. I like that they make the retake strategies more interesting. I think they're fun. I like them. I liked when the Reef in Splatoon 2 had 2 zones, and that's a bad take, and I know that, but I still think I'm right.
That is a fiery take for sure, and could probably rub people the wrong way, but I don't mind it at all. I like that pick here. Maybe a couple more dual maps here, but we see already Cafeteria with a quick wipeout there, trying to set the pace for this game early. We've seen Cafeteria through all these games really be the ones to set the pace and tone of the maps early. Now, holding on to that pace is a different story and a different fight.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some maps that lend themselves better to that. I'd argue that dual zone maps, and Umami especially, are even better at that. Because on Umami, if you get the first hold and you get some good picks, you can move up really far and give yourself a lot of space to play on the back foot, which is what we're seeing right now. Like, Monsoon has had a numbers lead for a little bit, but they haven't been able to get back in, just finally now recapping after a 54-point push. And going to be able to now try and employ a similar strategy onto the Cafeteria.
Yes, with Cooler available as well, that bomb being placed in a great position to take out that Zuka, shut down that Zuka from Monsoon. Now Monsoon knocking a little bit at the Cafeteria's door to try to retake this lead. 2 players go down for Monsoon, but Cafeteria are still in it. They will at least contest the zone. They will have one side of the map, and just like that, back in control is Cafeteria, but not for long, as Monsoon are not trying to let this go.
Yeah, Monsoon want to hold on to this. They would like this set to just be done. They want to go on. They want to move on to fight Cat Emoji, whereas the Cafeteria are fighting to stay in this. This is a match point game, and these 2 teams have different wants out of this specific game because it's not a 2v2. It's not a 2v2. It's not a situation where they're both at 2 points and need 1 more to win it. Right now, Monsoon is distinctly on the front foot, looking to win this game, to just have the set over with. But they haven't been able to play clean enough to make that happen quite yet.
Yeah, for sure. But sometimes we see players and we see teams really thrive when they have that pressure on them. And I'm sure Cafeteria definitely has that pressure on them. But so far, they're handling it really well here near the 25 tick mark, trying to go for the straight KO here. And they're applying all this pressure here. Nico will find Soda. 2 players down for Cafeteria, so numbers advantage in favor of Monsoon. But they are not giving up the zone at all. All this action is happening on that right side of the zone here, where you see 3 players at the Monsoon. They're really trying to fight, and eventually they will take the zone, forcing that penalty. But now now a lead that needs to be cut down a little bit. Monsoon needs to get to work here.
Yeah, they don't have much penalty to work through, but admittedly the Cafeteria does have a pretty solid lead. But as we've seen, especially even with the last game, Zones is very much a game where it's not over till it's over. Miner looking to put out some damage. They're able to get the trade with Brennan, taking out a 52 gal, never hurts. Nico looking to move forward, gonna have to back off, might be stuck in this fight though. Able to take out the splash, really great movement to be able to do that. And now going to be able to work on wrapping around this right side, has Zuka at the ready. And now we're gonna see Monsoon try and set up a hold.
Yeah, yet again, they don't have that much penalty to go through in my favorite acronym, NLIS. No lead is safe, especially in Splatoon here. And now, out of that penalty, they have the killer whale being popped. The tri-strikes actually go down there, so now an opportunity for Cafeteria to get back into things. You see the crab and a killer whale of their own coming out here, forcing the jumps away, but there needs to be paint onto the zone. The tri-strikes will come back, actually, from that cooler, maybe forcing some unwelcomed 1v2s here, at least in the favor for Monsoon, as they will have the numbers advantage. 2 down, actually quickly turned around just like that. Cafeteria want to maintain this lead, and they need to stay alive.
They do. They really want this to keep themselves from having to go to a game 5. Game 5 is so stressful, they tire you out. You want to come in as fresh as you can to grand finals, and it looks like they might be setting themselves up to. That was a really clean team play there. They created really good pinches. And now they should be able to get lead. Yep, there it is. And that's a 3 down. This is probably a KO here. Yeah, really good cleanup there at the end from Monsoon.
Just like that. Monsoon able to win in basically what was a gentleman's sweep, being able to take this 3-1. What a performance by them.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw how initially at the beginning it was looking all Cafeteria. We saw the constant pressure that they were able to complete, but really they eventually had to take their foot off of the gas a little bit. They had to slow down a little bit. They lost a bit of momentum, and all of a sudden, around with halfway to go in that map, the momentum completely switched for Monsoon. They got the better hold. They were able to hold on and key lead win that match, and now they'll be facing Cat Emoji in our grand finals. Now, kind of expected, honestly, our 1 and 2 seed facing off.
Yeah.
I mean, who could have guessed? But I mean, come on, what did you expect?
I mean, I'm never one to complain about it. This should be a fun set to watch. These should be maybe not completely evenly matched teams. I do personally think there will be a bit of a gap between Monsoon and Cat Emoji, but I'm very interested in seeing what both teams do, and I'm very interested in I used to play on a team with Candy, so I do have a little bit of preference of I want to see what Candy's cooking. Candy has, I believe, changed weapons since I used to play with them, so I'm very interested in seeing what he chooses to pull out.
I'm intrigued indeed. Really, the only name I'm 100% familiar with, obviously, is Miner with that bucket. But I have at least recognized. I've at least recognized these players before. Well, I know, Shiny as well, but I'm saying like in terms of like I've kept an eye on. I've seen them like a lot, like a lot, at least in the tournaments that I've commentated. I know these players have been around. I know these players have been around.
That's fair. That's fair. I forget. Like I'm admittedly not the most caught up with a lot of the newer up and coming players, and in my mind, some of these players are that, which is not accurate anymore. Really. Sometimes time passes. That's weird. How does it do that?
It does indeed. But actually, if we can take a quick look at all these maps that we have in store for us, our first one will be Barnacle and Dime, a very, very flat mode. Typically, you see a lot of longer range weapons. Obviously, the pencil is a classic there, but not only that, we will see most likely some crab gameplay here.
Yeah, I do. Look, I don't miss triple crab meta. Please don't mistake us for that. I like crab. I think it's a fun special. I think the idea of a little crab tank that scuttles about the stage is fun. Should there ever be more than one of them? Please no. Please one per team. Thank you. Sometimes you commentate the most important tournament you'll ever get to commentate, and bam, 3 crabs in a machine.
Missed opportunity for any tournament who saw 3 crabs to just play Crab Rave, just like on constant repeat. Just
that could have made the beginning of Splatoon 3 better.
I mean, hey, it's very fitting, but I guess that stuff's in the past now.
It is. Thankfully, it's in the past. We don't see triple of any special anymore.
Glad it happened. See you never again, hopefully.
Look, it's not It's not double missile, at least. At least it's not double missile with an array and an armor. It could be worse. It could always be worse.
Oh no, yeah. Now we're just bringing up past PTSD for all you Splatoon 2 players. And
what do you mean? Did you not play Splatoon?
I did as well. I played all three Splatoon. I did play all three Splatoons. But
sorry, sometimes I forget that I'm old. And then I get shocked.
No, it's not that at all, because like I only really got into the competitive scene usually around the later half of Splatoon 2, but I did know.
So when Splatoon 2 got real bad.
Yeah, so I've kind of gotten used to these metas. But anyway, shifting away from Splatoon 2 talk here, taking a look at the rest of this set here, any of these other maps really stick out to you besides Barnacle and Dime?
Not particularly. I'm thrilled to not see Mako zones. Or Inkblot zones. Always happy to not see those, quite honestly. It used to definitely be a thing in most IPL tournaments where the last set would begin with Mako zones. And my god, I'm thrilled to not have to see it. Best day ever. Sick of that map. Barnacle and Dime is a fun one. I think it and Umami both have the same issue of teams can get really pushed up really easily, and lockouts are very much a worry with these two. Crab Leg Capital is fun, but we have a pencil, so it'll be less fun because pencil just shuts down everything on the grates. Haggle is Haggle. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a very neutral stage. A lot can work on it. It's a stage I view as a stage of, oh, you had lead at 10 seconds left? That's rough. You're losing now.
As a wise man once said for commentating on Splat Zone's Hagglefish Market, it is the vanilla ice cream of Splatoon 3 competitive, and I will never forget that phrase. And he continues to say it, and I agree with him on that. But yeah. Switching over to the team names, actually, I believe the cat emoji, the actual proper name for it is cat with wry smile emoji, and I'm noticing that is a very devious smile.
It is a very devious smile. That cat, ready to cause problems. To be fair, that is most cats.
Mm-hmm.
I do adore that about them. They are little problem causers.
Yeah, I don't know if you own a cat. I do. I
have.
I mean, cat always just like when I'm leaving always jumps on my shoulders and immediately scratches everything. Sometimes like, now you are not leaving, I'm just going to scratch you constantly. But maybe you can see that type of fight here. You want to hold on for dear life in this last game here. It is do or die time, so maybe a very fitting emoji indeed to try to cling on, maybe, per se.
I mean Fuzzy has been saying on Blue Sky and possibly Twitter, I'm just not on Twitter really anymore, that Tetra could have a potential future. And, you know, if we're talking about clawing your way back in, that's a Tetra.
Yeah, for sure. And that could be very interesting to see here as we wait for these players to select their weapons here. Maybe just taking a little bit of time to think a little bit.
Maybe one of them needed a bathroom break. You know, it's a long tournament. Sometimes you got to get up and stretch your legs a little, regroup, reset your mind, especially coming into a big set like this.
For sure. Don't want to get that carpal tunnel. Always important here, especially for these players who we've known who've been in the scene, have grinded, been there, done that, and now it's one of the bigger moments of their nights, of course, just trying to be the ones to be crowned victorious. And we're just going to jump straight into things now here, Nox.
Yeah, always exciting. Like we were saying, all zones tonight. Both of these teams very used to all zones. A roller coming out here. Roller is a weapon we have seen do well in somewhat recent events. Definitely an interesting one. Bubble is a neat thing to have out. A little bit rough with trip strikes, but should be okay. We are seeing the Zap going for early cooler, which is not shocking, but it is a little shocking to see that Nautilus.
It is a little bit indeed, especially since you normally see the alternate variant of it having that splashdown, but I like that Inkstorm here for zones only. Obviously applies that pressure, applies that paint, and basically, I like to say, is pocket momentum, but actually the momentum is in favor of Monsoon just like that. They will, Cat Emoji will lose 3 players there, and now just trying to get back into the shot, trying to make something happen, but Miner is snuffing it out here, trying to find this pick. A very awkward fight will go to the favor of Monsoon, or Cat Emoji, but still, the zone is in Monsoon's favor.
Yeah, zone is, but it's gonna flip right now. We are seeing Shiny have to jump out, close to getting Zuka back online. Rain gonna be online. This should be a decent hold coming out from Katamoji if they can stay alive through these strikes. We do see the shot on the side of Katamoji go down. Shiny helping paint a path forward for Monsoon here as the zone switches in lead, and it's somehow just Shiny left alive, and Zephyr cleans that right up.
Yeah, just like that now, Katamoji in a great position now with the lead in their hands. You see the Zuka being popped as well. Will apply that pressure, apply that momentum. Now it is all on Monsoon to push, especially now they are on the back foot and with Cooler being played as well. This could look dangerous, but Miner does have Tri-Strikes to play with.
Tri-Strikes are a great way of getting your team back in. We're also seeing Cooler getting popped. We saw Zuka get popped. There are 12 seconds ticking down. Miner looking to try and move in, able to take out the Nautilus. That is a zone flip. Titan gonna get taken out in the process. So does her V-Shot. King Ja looking to move forward, but not gonna be able to.
Yeah, the bubble being placed as well, though, to actually create some space. We'll find Storm before they are taken out. 2 picks on the side of Monsoon compared to only 1 loss for Katamoji here. Neek trying to camp that jump, not quite turning out in their favor. You see the Rain being played by Katamoji to try to get back into things. Pencil, though, is remaining very dangerous there, being that overseer, and we saw how powerful it can be on Barnacle and Dime, but still, Katamoji want to make sure that they have a strong hold of this because lead can switch fast, but at least they will force the penalty here.
Yeah, forcing the penalty is really great here. A lot of zones, a lot of Splatoon in general is just, how do we put them in a bad situation? And the answer is often, how can we give them the most penalty points the fastest? What can we do to make it so that it is hardest for them to get more of a lead? And the answer is pushing to some degree, but also knowing when you need to back off to make sure that they can't get more points than necessary and not overextending, which is, I'd say, about the hardest skill for Splatoon players to learn generally.
Yeah, and we're seeing the great use here of that Zuka yet again finding its target. Now Monsoon have the pressure on their backs. They need to get into the zone now out of their penalty points. Katamoji try to go for the knockout. 5 ticks left. That Pencil, you see there, Shiny trying to contest, and you see Storm as well on that left side of the zone trying to paint everything they have, but you see King Ja in the middle with that roller, with that bubble, and the paint is just too much for Cat Emoji, who will win game number 1 in this grand finals.
Yeah, I want to give some credit to their Zap there. Their Zap was doing an excellent job at dodging shots and still getting paint down on the zone, enough for their roller to be able to move freely and to keep it neutral, which is impressive. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's an underrated part of support that you have to be right there with your front line, able to keep the paint up for them. And it's not just about get your special. It's a lot about make sure that you have enough paint down for your front lines to move forward and use your special in a way that they can use it while they continue to move forward.
Yeah, massive love and massive shout out to all you support players there. Titan, that end zap there, like you mentioned, was basically just playing Dance Dance Revolution on that left side, just trying to stay alive for that roller, and ultimately, like you were mentioning there, ultimately helped them win that game. Now we are moving to game number 2, Splat Zone's Crab Lake Capital. We've seen how this map usually plays out before, but something we didn't mention there is the grates. Obviously, the grates are a very important part of this map and can provide for very, very interesting interactions and how these teams like to play around or with them.
Absolutely. And especially with a Pencil on the side of Monsoon, I could see this swinging heavily in their favor. This is a very Pencil forward map. Pencil can see everything, it can reach everything. So if you don't find a way to move them, it can be really, really hard to break in.
Yeah, for sure. And being that team with that Pencil, they need to get back into the swing of things, really establish themselves in this, because we saw how well Monsoon were holding in that previous semifinals matchup we just saw, and we need to see a little bit more of that. But so far already off to a good start here, already with the first zone cap and trying to contest. Zephyr will go down to Shiny on that Pencil. We were just touching on it, that Pencil range can be vital there, and now with 70 ticks already off to a very, very strong lead. Yeah,
definitely looking good right now. Going to have strikes online to keep this hold going. Not going to have a lot else to work with for a little bit, but if they keep getting 2 players down, they won't need to worry about that much. Cooler coming out here on the side of Katamoji. They're going to be looking to move forward with it. Strike's going to slow them down. Definitely a situation where if you're Monsoon, you're feeling good.
Yeah, and feeling good indeed. Monsoon will find another Nico, will find that Zuka kill, trying to contest against this roller on this left side. 15 ticks left for Monsoon to go for the wipeout here and go for the knockout. I mean, 5 ticks left now. That pencil Shiny leading that last player, plus Storm trying to contest the zone, but Keely, that roller, is able to jump in, but they will go down quickly, and just like that, punching right back 100-0, Monsoon will even things up in a very, very quick fashion.
Yeah, that definitely was a map that Monsoon's weapons probably felt a little better on. Admittedly, I personally find that Crableg especially loves having pencil. As somebody who tried to make heavy edit work in pencil meta a lot, against my better judgment, it's a pencil map. It feels like it should be a Splatling map. It's a pencil map because pencil is what happens when you let a Splatling be a charger.
Yeah, for sure, but I do like what Cat Emoji does run with their comp. I mean, we saw it work on Barnacle and Dime, but now we might see a very interesting interaction here. I feel like this, I think in my opinion, this map in particular doesn't really favor either team. If depends on how they
it's more
play
neutral. Yeah, I agree. I think there are definitely particular styles of play that you can make Hagglefish really work for, but I think that's more true on Tower Control or Rainmaker, or maybe even Clam Blitz. Not that we ever really see it for Clam Blitz in comp, or even Rainmaker in comp. It's mostly just TC and zones. But I think zones is a very much so, you're playing it straight, there's no weird flanks, there's no gimmicks. It is vanilla, like you said, where you are just fighting for the zone. There's no weird high ground to work around. You know exactly where the one place for high ground is. It's a good bucket map, it's a good shooter map, it's a good dually map. It's just a very basic map, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong at all. It's really the sandbox, if you so say. Really just allows the teams to really play to how they like, really allows them to show who they are as competitive teams, and we are going to see it right here. Basically, again, best of 3 now. Both teams with 1 on the board. Let's see what new maybe strategies, or see what these teams have learned from each other now they have 2 games in the bag. Already here, actually, Monsoon will be the ones to actually take that first zone. Now, trying to head towards the side here. Nico just trying to see if they can find any value. Actually, quickly taken out by that roller. Now there's no more Zuka available for Monsoon. Continuing to camp this ledge as well. This roller has been key for Cat Emoji in contesting this.
Yeah, roller is a very unique weapon. Teams have a hard time playing into it. They have a hard time playing against it in general, and it's a really unique situation if you're comfortable playing with one. You definitely do need to have a team that's ready to, but if you do, it can provide you such unique positioning and such unique spots around ledges, but that doesn't matter if Nico's just able to take you guys out one at a time like this.
Yeah, for sure. Managing to find Titan, so no more NZAP cooler there for the side of Cat Emoji. But we see that roller already providing damage on that left side. Shiny being that anchor, being the backline, being the backbone of Monsoon here, trying to stay alive, trying to provide these jumps and trying to contest against Cat Emoji, but eventually Cat Emoji will take it over now with cooler available as well. They try to come back with a great push of their own, but already being met with heavy Monsoon resistance.
Yes, Monsoon does not do anything without putting up a good fight. Good fall-off kill there from Nico. Just gotta give a little credit there. Fall-off kills are always fun to see. Shiny looking to move forward, helping push Zephyr out, helping take them down by using that paint around them. Cooler coming out for Monsoon. They're going to be looking to set up a stronghold. They're going to want to move as far forward as they can, but on this map, that's not all that far.
Yeah, Keely King Jaw, that roller will go down here. Zuka will find 2, I believe. Great shot there coming out from Cat Emoji, but will it be enough to swing things in the favor of them? Yes, it will. It will allow the zone to be flipped in the favor of Cat Emoji here, now trying to position themselves in a better spot to allow them to hold against what has been a strong Monsoon hold. Very good ledge kill there. You were talking about it earlier. We're seeing it constantly used over and over. The Zuka's been on point, though.
Zuka does put in a lot of work. There is a reason why it is still one of the most used specials in the game. 52 Gal able to find one. Storm looking to pull off the flank here. Not going to quite be able to find much, but able to at least distract players to allow their teammates to start moving forward. looking to find picks with the Zuko. Nico not quite able to. King Jaw on the flank, able to find one. Will they find another? No, not quite. But that gets more points on the board for Katamoji, which is all they need to be after.
Yeah, just like that, they did their job. They were back in it, and now Katamoji does have the lead. Now the Tri-Strikes will go out to try to hold things in the favor for Monsoon. 3 players are down now for Katamoji, so now Monsoon back in it. They have quite a little bit of penalty points to go through, but still plenty of time left, a little less than 2 minutes to work with here now. Specials need to be farmed for this push. You see the Zuka coming out early for Katamoji here, but a Zuka of their own Monsoon has in their pocket, but they might not need it for this wipeout. Just like that, they are back in the driver's seat, and you kind of think now they'll be able to take the lead comfortably, and Katamoji will have all the pressure on them.
Not often you get to see teams push this far forward on Haggle, and it might have been a little greedy, but it seems like it's working out for them. King Jia looking to try and get out of there alive, going to have to use the bubble just to do it. 4 ticks left, 3, 2, 1, and that's the game going to Monsoon. Able to really take full advantage of those retakes, and we're going to be going into game point here.
Matter of seconds, matter of moment. That is how Splatoon competitive is played, and we saw it unveil there. Katamoji was in great hold of the zone, but all it took was one good team fight, that wipeout. All it took, and then it really got the ball rolling. It really got the snowball rolling down the hill, and just like that, like you mentioned, Monsoon is looking to end things off in game number 4, Splat Zone's Museum.
And once again, not to highlight at the pencil, but it's a good range map. You can't not bring up the pencil on a good range map. I could see other weapons coming out here, just as like a general thing that would do well. I think Rapid Blaster Pro Deco would probably be pretty solid here. Don't expect to see either team pull that out. It's a very niche weapon. It's not a weapon that we see a lot, especially in tournaments like SOS. But I can't see a Nautilus liking playing into a pencil here.
Not at all. That seems just to be the nightmare of it, but they may, I don't know, it's up to them really, because they might want to just have that weapon there just for the sake of having that ink rain. I mean, it is such a vital thing to what they like to run. It is just provides that, not only with obviously the buffs to allowing for quicker recovery in it, just allowing it to basically just be, it doesn't provide the same like protection as like a big bubble would, but it does provide at least a little bit of more momentum to really work with. Now, will they stick with that? That is the big question.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they stick with it. I don't think they have other things they want to switch to. I just think it is very rough to play Splatlings as a general statement into pencil. I think it is a very challenging thing to do, where you have to rely a lot on your teammates to displace the pencil to allow you to move at all. That is slightly less true with Nautilus and other Splatlings, but it still is true for it.
Yeah, so we will see that contestedly hard battle that Nautilus has to fight, but not only that, Keeley, it is not the Ink Rain Nautilus, it is the one we most commonly see now, the Splashdown Nautilus, which is a very interesting change, but I don't mind it at all because of how more close quarters it is here, especially in this midpoint with obviously the giant obstacle spinner in the way, but so far Monsoon will be the ones to take first cap and trying to get more.
Yeah, it's always important to try and get as much out of that first cap as you can, so that you can focus really heavily on just retake and hoping to get another good hold. But Splatoon's about your best performance, not your sum of all. A very key thing about this game. You just need to do it really good once. If you just do it really good once, you can win.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Nox. It's not whoever punches first, it's whoever punches last and ends things. Now, Monsoon will try to end things here now with control of the zone. Yet again, they don't have any penalty to worry about. Nico in a great position with the Zuka, trying to find some stragglers from Katamoji here to pick off. They will find one with that last shot. A great pick there. Cooler being placed for Katamojis to try to get into things. Time is nearing the 40 tick mark, and now Monsoon really just have to sit on the zone and sit pretty because they are still getting picks here.
They are, and they have a cooler out, so even those players that did just go down will not be down for long. Miner realizing they can't really challenge the Nautilus, but if they stay over here, they can challenge whatever approaches them. The Nautilus just stuck in that corner. Storm holding this spot beautifully, is going to have to back off a little bit because of the bubble, but they are... Right now, Monsoon is just doing an excellent job holding this zone. Not much time left. Just a clean show of force and a little squid bag from Storm as a treat.
A little treat, maybe a little BM, but oh well.
Hey.
Monsoon will be your swim or sink 168 finals champions. What a run it was for them. I mean, we saw a tightly fought set. It obviously doesn't do it justice how that last match turned out, but it really just showed how dominant Monsoon was. I mean, up until this point, they barely dropped any maps. I mean, they dropped one in round 2, one in round 3, and one in round 4. So it hasn't really been a tightly fought in terms of sets, but at least from what we saw, it was tightly fought no matter what. Cat Emoji really put up a good fight.
Yeah, Cat Emoji did put up a good fight. I think part of it was that Pencil is particularly strong on especially Museum and Crab Leg. I'd argue that those are some of its best maps. Not that it's bad anywhere, it's Pencil. But having that extra range, especially when you're playing against a Nautilus, is really nice, because often if there's a Nautilus on the other team, it's the main thing you want to focus on shutting down. So having a Pencil to just get rid of that little issue for yourself never hurts.
Yeah, for sure. And this will be our end for this Swimmer Sync, a special edition brought to you by popular demand here. We got a lot of demand here for all Splat zones, and we brought it. Now, if you guys like this, we will bring it back for I believe every swim or sink that ends in a 3 or 8.
Yes.
So be on a lookout for that for sure. But as always, when we end things off, we always have to plug ourselves. That is the housekeeping, as you may call it. So Nox, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Twitch at NoxRaven42. I've been doing a little interview series on YouTube, so hope people can go check it out.
Yeah, and for me, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Blue Sky at rocket_splat. You can also find me on Discord at rocket, while I'm usually chilling in the giant Splatoon Discord servers, usually just hanging around, doing a little tomfoolery. I hope to get my Twitch up soon so you can hear me ramble about whatever over there. But yeah, that will just about do it for us over here at IPL for Swimmer Sync. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to our wonderful streamer Justin in the background for providing us for some quality Splatoon here. Thank you, Nox, for being my wonderful co-commentator. It was an honor to commentate with you, and we will hopefully see you in the next one.